What do bananas, birds of paradise, heliconias, gingers and cannas all have in common? They're all related. They're in the botanical order Zingiberales. The Zingiberales is an order consisting of several botanical families, most of which occur naturally in the tropics. And luckily for me, there's a huge collection right here in Brisbane's Roma Street Parklands.
Yeah, the rain really shows up the colour.
Paul Hoffman is the horticultural and operations manager. What are the features of the Zingiberales that make them so desirable to grow?
So things that they all have in common that you can pick out really quite easily are the large leaves, the really showy flowers, and the underground rhizomes.
Now, they look as if they have to grow in the tropics, but they are a bit more adaptable to different climates.
They are. Some varieties will grow in the temperate climates and give you that real tropical look, even in a Sydney or Melbourne garden.
Firstly, let's have a look at the Musaceae family. The banana family has to be the best recognised group of Zingiberales. They are the largest of the herbaceous plants on Earth.
They are, you know, the fourth largest crops in the world, and so people know them, having them on their cereal, having them for breakfast. Just about everybody's eating a banana. They do make a great filler for your garden with the edible fruit, but also just the big leaves. If you find a nice spot for them in your garden, they actually create a really nice backdrop to a lot of your other tropical plants. You just got to find that right zone for them so that they don't get high winds and you won't get all those shredded leaves which make them look a little bit untidy.
Next, the ever-popular Cannaceae family.
There's so many varieties available and they give you great height in the garden and plenty of colour, from reds to yellows to oranges, and they will flower all through summer to autumn.
One little tip I've found with growing cannas is when an individual flower is finished, if you just remove that, it will continue to bloom. But if you remove the entire flower head, that's the end of the bloom. The Strelitziaceae family are particularly spectacular. Now, the Strelitziaceae would probably be the toughest member of the Zingiberales.
They are, and they can grow through a lot of the climatic zones, right through to Melbourne and even Hobart. The flower actually emerges and passes through and fans out. So when the old flowers, like this one, comes, you just pull that off.
So these are really long-lasting.
They are. They will last a long time in the ground or in a vase. You just need to choose your location carefully.
Now, these plants do have a rhizome, but they have a very tight base, don't they?
They do, and this is the reginae. So it actually is a smaller, dwarfed version of its bigger brother, the Nicolai, which is a really large landscape feature, and you need to really choose that location wisely.
Yes, I remember trying to transplant one, and it's very difficult to get your spade out of the clump.
Once they're in the ground, they're very well rooted.
The ginger group within Zingiberales includes Heliconiaceae, the heliconias, Marantaceae, the prayer plants, Costaceae, the spiral gingers, and the largest family, the Zingiberaceae, which are the true gingers and include beehive gingers.
Jerry, how spectacular are these beehive gingers?
This is one plant that puts a song into my heart every time I see it. They're just great the way they flower from the top right the way down to the bottom. You've got such a long-lasting display.
People really love them. They really invoke that real tropical look in your garden. And they do make a great cut flower in a vase, but they are quite heavy, so you need to get a strong vase.
They're full of liquid. There's a bit of rain and nectar in there.
There's an old Hawaiian story that they actually used to use the nectar for shampoo.
So it would fragrance your hair at the same time?
It will, yes.
How lovely. If there's one plant to advertise the Zingiberales, this is it.
It's one of the most showy, overstated flowers in the ginger family.
And one of the things I love about this is these little parts here, these floral bracts, they're edible too. They've got a peppery taste and they go well in salad. So it's absolutely a cracker in the garden. But you can't just grow it anywhere, can you?
No, really, you know, tropical, subtropical. Brisbane South is probably at its limit, but it has this amazing, 1 to 2 metre high flower spike.
And the leaves, they're about 4 metres high. I mean, it says tropical with a capital T. Now, if there was one family in the Zingiberales that can add glamour to a garden, it's got to be the Heliconiaceae.
That's right, and there's one for just about every part of the garden. There's big, there's small, there's full sun, there's shade, so they're really a spectacular plant in your garden.
I just love some of the structure that they produce, like great fountains of foliage. That one over there's got a beautiful red midrib, and these are so cute, you could actually grow them in pots.
You could. They also make a great ground cover, and they actually will fill that really sunny part of the garden en masse.
Now, these are one of your favourites, aren't they?
They are. The curcumas just really add a level of sophistication to your garden.
A lot of people will eat things like turmeric, which is a version of curcuma, but these are ornamental predominantly, aren't they?
They are, but if you look closely, they've got the bracts, which is the real showy part, but the little flowers, they are edible. For us in the subtropics, they actually will die off in the wintertime, and they give you that splash of colour again when they pop up in spring. One of my favourites would have to be the Curcuma australasica, or known as the Cape York lily.
It's just spectacular.
It's found on Cape York Peninsula and is the only Australian native of the 100 or more species of curcumas found throughout the world.
When it comes to caring for your Zingiberales, Paul has some great tips.
They really love good free-draining soil. They really thrive on moisture and good fertiliser. They are really hungry, so with all that leaf growth that they're putting on and a lot of the flowers, they really do like a good slow-release fertiliser through the growing season and then taper that off in the winter. After a couple of years, it's always good to split them up, and you can divide some and space them out and create a bigger clump or a different spot in the garden, just to give them space so they can really show off those really exuberant flowers.
So, if you're in a warm, frost-free climate and need to add some zing to your garden, then a selection of plants from the Zingiberales would make the perfect choice.
They just make you feel like you're on holidays. That tropical, lush garden, the really showy flowers, it gives you that real tropical feel to your own backyard.